Hello and welcome to Racing for Wins. This is a podcast by two friends who are fans of F1 racing, but not just for the race itself. As business owners, we also like to see what's going on behind the scenes. We offer a biased, heated, and often irrational sports commentary. Take a listen and share your thoughts in our comments section. My name is Craig Havens, and with me is Jonathan Almanzar.
Hey, Jonathan, welcome back. How are you? Been a interesting race. I was going to say a fun race, but I don't know if it was a fun race. It was a race.
You know what? I love the way that street tracks look.
I They're my favorite
I
look wise, but
yes, I hate watching them.
there's no place to pass.
There's
No
no,
opening.
they're just boring, like so boring. I feel like they should do one lap and then we're like, okay, that was cool, and then it goes
And then
over
it goes
somewhere else, and
off.
that's where they
Oh, that would
race,
be cool. If they
and
did
then they
one
come back.
lap through the town and then it leads off into a totally different course. That's what they should do. That is
Yes,
awesome. Like the first and last lap, start and finish
yes,
in the city. But the rest of it is just like Vegas is a perfect spot for that because what else is out there? Just desert.
right.
So you could just go
You could
and you could fill that. I mean, how many people could be watching that?
you could have two people worth of race watchers.
I'm there. I'm with you. I agree. You can have the people that want to watch it start and finish, and you can have the people that want to see all the overtaking and all the crap in between.
Yeah,
And heck, you could get a special pass to get like a shuttle that rides you through under the
no,
track or something like that. That would be. We
no.
should. Why are we not in charge of this? I don't get it.
We should be track builders,
We
honestly.
should be. We track design. I'm sure
Yeah.
there's probably people less qualified doing track design than
Oh,
us right
for
now.
sure. And but I don't want to just design them. I want to actually physically build them as well. Like I want to with my shovel and pick,
I'll get a
and I want to
stamper
be
and
out
I'll
there.
stamp it down behind you as you're throwing
And
down the asphalt.
I mean, Larry Bird had to retire from the NBA because he didn't believe in paying somebody to do manual labor.
Right.
So he re-asphalted his own driveway, and he had a long asphalt driveway. And so I feel the same way. We'll design it, and then we'll go out there and perform the manual labor.
And I feel like if we build it, they will come.
They will come. Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, someone will. Someone will. If we build it.
Especially when we don't fill out the paperwork for permits. We don't have licenses and insurance and
Or
everything
if we're
else.
doing it shirtless.
Right.
Or if we're doing it shirtless.
Oh yeah, people come for that. So the race. I
Yes.
mean, so the one thing I really think is cool is when that DRS opens. I think it's really cool how quickly that car just takes off.
Yeah.
Like I did.
Unless you're Lance Stroll, and then you can't open your DRS for whatever reason.
What's that?
Unless you're Lance Stroll and your
Well,
DRS
right.
won't open.
Yeah. I think probably like a glove got stuck in it or something.
Yeah.
So, but around lap 13, I think it was lap 13. It was when the safety car came out, and that's when the
Yeah.
whole race kind of changed because that's the only way you can pass. It seemed. I mean,
Yeah.
it's kind of like Lando Norris stuck behind what's his name that can't really move. You're stuck. But around lap 13, Perez gets in the lead. They say he gets help with the safety car. Now, Max Verstappen has choice to go in, right? He could have said, "I'm going to stay out," and then Perez could have gone in. Correct?
Yeah.
This is before. So, I mean, not for nothing. I think the best bet probably would have been for. I think that comes down to Verstappen, not to someone getting help, if that makes sense. Like I don't think anyone got help from it, unless you knew it was coming and you were kind of cheating off of it.
Well, I think Red Bull was stupid in pitting Verstappen at that point because they should know. They can see. He can't see the car. He's actually driving. He's probably keeping his eyes on the road. I know in a lot of the races he's not, like he's searching the web
Right.
and
Well,
he's
doing Dunkin'
TikToking and
Donuts, right?
all those kinds of things. But in this race, it was still early enough in the race that he's still watching the track. So he doesn't really see that car. Like he's not pulling up pictures on Twitter and looking through them. But the race command center knows that there's a car stalled on the track. So they've got to know that there's a safety car coming. They have to know that. And they pitted him anyway, like idiots.
Yeah. It would seem. I mean, the car wasn't moving. It sat there.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they took the safety car by it again. So, yeah.
Yeah.
But, all right, either way. So there was that. But you were talking about the track. I like the track. It's just boring. It's cool. And the one thing I noticed about the track was, like, I don't know, if I lived there, I'd be on the freaking roof. Nobody was on the roof. Like,
I know.
If I owned the building, I'd be renting out seats on the roof.
They
I'd put a
showed one group
grandstand up there, and maybe it'd fall over, but at least I'd be then, bad news, good news, whatever. You're in the news. So, but
I mean, like the Cubs Stadium, those apartment buildings by the Cubs Stadium,
yeah, exactly.
they rent chairs on top of their roof.
And they sell them out, and they sell out. They do free beer, free food, free everything, and you get to sit on a rooftop, and they still get like $100 and some bucks for them. Yeah. I would totally be renting those out. And if I just lived there, I'd still rent it out. I'd call my friends. I'd call you. I'd be like, "Hey, Jonathan, you want to sit on a roof?"
And I'd be there. I'd be like,
Baku? Maybe one of our 6 listeners would come out.
Yeah.
Hang out.
You would say, "Hey, Jonathan, you want to hang out with me in Baku?" And I would be like, "Baku? Of course."
Right. 100%.
Did you know, real quick, this is going to show how ignorant Americans are. Did you know Baku had like old buildings like that? Was that shocking to you a little bit?
It was a little bit shocking. I mean, I did look at it, and I kind of thought it was more of like Dubai, kind of like everything all flashy and beautiful, and not that it wasn't pretty, but yeah.
I was like, wait, where did these old buildings come from?
It looked like Europe. They look like old European buildings. Yeah.
It looked like, which it is, Europe meets Asia. Is what it looked like, and crazily enough, that's exactly what it is.
That's what we got.
Mm-hmm. Baku.
So yeah, I mean, but the other thing I noticed was, I don't know if you noticed this, but like when Stroll went off on turn 16, I wrote that down.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I know that one. They started talking about the wind direction. I mean, those cars come up to my knees. Like, does the wind really affect those cars? Because I think that is the one thing they do the most work on, is to make sure that there is very, very little wind resistance. I'm pretty sure it gets less wind resistance than my Jeep.
I mean, when they talk about they paint the logos on because they don't want a sticker on there because of the wind resistance.
Right.
I think, I don't know, man. The wind has to affect, I don't know.
But they literally talked about how the wind is coming into play. Like with the wind going across this direction. Like, I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, I know. I have that problem in my Jeep sometimes when it's really windy and I feel like I'm going through a tornado, and the top starts to pop up, and I'm like, whoa, there's some serious wind. But I'm not driving an F1 and there is no top. But I don't know.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. That was weird. I
almost felt like we were looking for things there. We're stretching for something to talk about, like we do when we do these podcasts.
Do you like the sprint race happening on the weekend?
So I didn't get to see it because I had to do some actual work, but work for my wife work, but yeah. So I didn't get to see it, but
I the same. It was more of the same. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't hate it, but man, Max Verstappen hates it. Why does he hate it so much? And he's like, if you want to keep doing it, I'm going to be out of Red Bull. I mean, out of racing. I'm worried that he's like, I think he's throwing out hints that like, I've got another year and I'm done.
I said that before when we talked about, he's already said this is his last contract. Like,
yeah, but I thought there's no way.
All the time.
I was like, there's no way, because he's going to want to break every record. And then they literally wrote an article that I just read on ESPN entitled Max Verstappen. No, they literally titled it.
Oh.
Max Verstappen doesn't want to break every record.
Really?
That's the title of the article, yeah. I was like, oh, that's interesting. AI bots are getting really smart now.
That is really weird because, I mean, I would think that someone like Max Verstappen would be at least a little bit competitive, right? like would kind of want to win things.
Yeah, you would think, but he's not at all. He's not competitive at all.
It doesn't
I
seem
mean,
like it by that
no,
article.
I mean,
Like I
no,
don't
and
really care about records and winning and
or just by the way that he interacts on the course and on the
Right.
radio too.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh, he bumped me, but I don't really care. It's fine. I'll just take the place back."
He is so non-competitive. He races 23 seconds ahead of everybody else, and that's
Yeah.
and because he doesn't feel like competing. He doesn't feel like being
No.
down there in the trenches where you're like going by everyone and somebody's right on your
And-
tail trying to overtake you. He's like, no, I'm not doing that. That's not me. I am.
And he's always looking out for Perez too. He's always like, "Oh yeah, Perez." Like
Right.
when he got on the radio and he said, "Hey, I found a really good braking setting. Tell Perez." Oh wait, that was Alonso. It was like, I found a really. What I find hilarious though is it was right after he said, "I found this really good braking setting." Tell Stroll, and then that's when Stroll went into the wall. That's what I noticed. You noticed the win. I noticed that Alonso just told him how to set his brakes, and then he hits the wall.
Let my buddy
He's
know that
probably
back
giggling.
there.
He's probably thinking, "This idiot. He doesn't even know how to race. He's just gonna put these settings on. I know it."
He's been setting him up this entire time, acting like his big brother. He's been setting him up for these moments. All right, yeah, have him check the brake right here.
Have this setting. It's working really good for me right now, especially at turn 3. That's where you want this the most. But so I want to go back to the sprint race for just a second,
Yes.
since you didn't see it. So in the very beginning, George Russell and Verstappen collide a little bit, and there was a hole in the side of his Tide Pod. Verstappen's like this big, but he didn't know it. He didn't know that there was a hole. He just started complaining. He's like, he hit me, and they didn't do anything. And then a little bit later, he still passed George Russell with a hole. That just shows you, like, what if all this work that they're doing means nothing?
Yeah, well, it's doing something, right? I mean,
But I mean, what if it's just literally how powerful you make your engine, and a little bit of the social. But he had a hole in the side of his Tide Pod. So anyway, he passes George Russell, like blows by George Russell, and they're like, "Good job overtaking George Russell again." And it got quiet, and then they go, "Without any kind of bumping or interference." And he gets on the mic and says, "Yeah, that's because I know what I'm doing." Then after the race, he shows up and he confronts George Russell. Did you see that?
No.
After the sprint race. So he goes up to him and he starts yelling at him. He calls him a dickhead and all kinds of stuff. And George Russell was like, "Dude, you would have done the same if you were in my spot. Like it's hard. The tires are cold." And Max Verstappen goes, "All our tires are cold." But it looks so funny because Verstappen looked really tiny because George Russell's the tallest,
Right.
but also George Russell was wearing his helmet and wouldn't take it off. And then he walked away and then he yelled at him. And then he carried it into his next interview. He started talking about George Russell and how he's like, he better watch it because now that I know he's going to do that to me, I'm going to do it to him. So it was almost like a threat. And he wouldn't let it go. He just kept it going.
So
it was crazy.
Leaving the helmet on, it's like hockey. If you think you're getting into a fight, you don't take off, you don't take off.
No kidding. Yeah.
You don't take off your helmet. You know. So yeah, I would have left my helmet on too.
What would have been hilarious though is if he had ripped it off and just swung it around.
Yes. Like who was
Side
that in
to
the
head.
NFL that did that? Hit someone with their. It was against the Cowboys. They hit somebody with their helmet.
Well, wasn't it that one dude for the Cleveland Browns
Yes.
against Mason Rudolph.
Yeah.
The guy for the best defensive end for the Browns did it to Mason Rudolph.
That's who it was, yes.
And knocked his face mask off. So he looked like he was a 1920s football player walking off the field with no face mask. It was so ridiculous.
So, yeah. But yeah, I mean, there are some things that were killing me. And real quick, back to that whole Perez getting a...
Go ahead, sorry, yeah.
Getting that advantage piece. Like, they literally said Max, and I wrote it down, Max was unfairly disadvantaged over the safety car. And then they started discussing, should Checo back off and let Max back into first place, into the lead? I'm like, hell no. Not a chance.
No, yeah, I agree.
No. And you know what? I can see how that conversation goes. Hey, we want you to back off and let Max back up there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Remember a couple of weeks ago?
No hablo inglés. That's what you would have said. No hablo inglés.
You're right, exactly.
Like Sammy Sosa when they were
Sprechen Sie
interviewing Sammy Sosa about steroids. Remember that?
Yes.
He was like, no hablo inglés.
Uh,
You're not even Mexican.
now,
Yeah.
one of the
So
things.
did you
Go ahead.
real quick? Do you remember when Checo hit the wall a little bit?
And he didn't say anything?
He didn't say anything, and then they call him up and they're like, dude, what happened back there? He's like, nothing.
We're good.
I wonder if he was afraid to say, I hit the wall, because they would have been thinking, okay, his tires are going to be fatigued now. He's not going to be able to make it to the end. Let Max pass so he can take off and you can slow down. I really wonder if he was thinking that.
It could be. They asked him about it afterwards. He's like, yeah. It wasn't that big. I mean, it hit, but it wasn't something that worried him. So, I mean, would you volunteer that information? I guess a lot of people do. I mean, they do say, hey, you know what, I hit the wall. Is there any damage? Blah, blah, blah. But
I guarantee you Max Verstappen would have had no problem saying that. But Max Verstappen and Checo are in two totally different places inside their team.
So they are, but they're not. It almost seems like...
I'm saying within their team. Like, not as far as their driving and their points and all that kind of stuff, but like Checo doesn't feel as supported in his team as Max does.
Yes.
I think that's obvious.
That is true.
That's why Max would say it and Checo might withhold it.
So I did notice this week they started talking about Checo being a little more selfish, which I kind of liked. I was like, why wouldn't you be?
Yeah.
It's not like everyone's telling you, hey, you go do you. I mean, they're running the race based on Max.
Do you think it means something, though, that 5 of Checo's 7 wins have been street circuits?
I think it's a different type of race.
Yeah,
I do.
So I think that's why you couldn't. That's one reason I don't think you could put your eggs in the Checo basket, or let me say it more correctly, your huevos in the Checo basket, because I don't know that he can win consistently unless it's a street circuit.
I mean, he's been winning.
No, he's won 2 races outside in his career outside of.
But he's been placing.
Circuit. Yeah, but Max wins when it's not a street circuit, and he wins when it is a street circuit, unless Sergio wins. And one more question:
yes,
is it just ridiculous how much better Red Bull is than everybody else? When they pass people,
we're getting to that. We're that's a whole topic coming up. It's freaking killing me. So, real quick, we talk about tires all the time, and I'm not a tire guy. I'm not a mechanic. I'm not a...
Really? You seem super like a rubber kind of guy.
Yeah, right. Me and Gumby. So, anyways, do they all use Pirelli tires? Is there different...
Yes.
Why?
No, they all have to use Pirelli.
Why?
I think it's
all
just
have to use Pirelli, but they can make their own car, design their own car. They can change engines if they feel like it's a better design in the engine. They can do everything, but the piece that they talk about most in a car's performance is soft, medium, and hard tires, but they all have to run the same. That doesn't make it even ground. That makes it just a piece that they can't change, which is stupid to me.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
In the NFL, can quarterbacks say, I don't want to throw a Wilson football on my drives. I want to throw a Rawlings football. And then the other guy be like, well, I'm only throwing Wilson on my drives. And then Tom Brady being like, I'm only throwing Nerf football on my drives.
That is the case. You are correct. They can't. But these guys can run with a different engine in every car. They run with
different wide receivers. They have different wide receivers. They can run different plays. They have different linemen, linebackers.
Just like all the others. This is a part of the car. They are all parts, and if all parts are interchangeable except one, there's a reason. And Pirelli must have a huge amount of money in this.
Oh, I'm sure Pirelli pays for it.
I mean, you saw their name stretched across the thing on like a freaking 2-mile stretch. It wasn't a 2-mile stretch,
but I'm sure also, like, if Michelin did it, like I'm sure they change them. But I think it's the one constant besides so you have the track but they're all driving on the same. That'd be like saying, why can't they drive a different track then?
Why
Why can't he be like, well, I want to do a different track.
That's not even
You guys
close to
do
that.
this
It's not even
track.
close to that. That's like saying, why can't they use different engines, is what it's like. It's like saying, why can't they use different engines? Why can't they use
They do use different engines.
Exactly my point.
But they're building the car, but not the tire. They're not building their own tires.
They're not building their own. Do you think Christian Horner's out there building Honda engines?
I
They're
think
not
Christian
building them.
Horner
They
is.
buy the engine from Honda and put it into the car they built, just like they buy the tire and put it onto the car.
I think Christian Horner very much is building Honda engines. Haven't you seen him roll up his sleeves?
Gunther is out there building engines?
I don't think Gunther does as much as you think he does.
That's
I
my
think
point.
Gunther is.
Do you think
I think
Gunther
Gunther.
is building
I don't know what
engines?
Gunther.
He's not
Honestly,
building engines.
I don't know what Gunther does.
Gunther
I mean, he's
is
like
he's the entertainer.
they're like
Gunther
man,
is Billy Joel. We're gonna call
Gunther's
him the
like,
entertainer. That's his new
Haas is pretty terrible today, and he's like, yeah, we're gonna do better though someday. Win, win. Haas is terrible.
Haas is
besides Alfa
terrible.
Romeo, who's the worst team in the
Alfa
history
Romeo,
of teams.
I was getting to that too, because that is horrible and it needs to change. And quite honestly,
And it will. It will.
Alessandro should be let go. He won't be because he was brought in to do the conversion over to Audi. So he's living on that. This is a freebie year for him. He could pretty much just say, I don't care. That's my belief. I'm not really.
What is that? Vassar? Is that guy's name? Vassar for Ferrari?
Yeah, Fred Vasseur.
How about the fact that he didn't know his top guy was leaving for another team until he read it in the newspaper?
Well,
what does it matter with Ferrari?
Right? I mean, I know many times that you don't know someone's leaving, and it's a shock when, well, none of our employees ever made the newspaper for those types of reasons. But
I have one in the newspaper right now.
Well, I know, I've had them too, but
I have mine is on a TV show even.
Wow. Well, this is a side conversation. Maybe we'll do a different podcast for it.
And the most wanted.
Employing for news.
For wins. So, employing for wins.
So, but no, I just I don't even remember where we were. I was talking about engines. Now we're talking about Fred Vasseur. But
so we hit Ferrari. We started with tires. I think it's fine. You think it's a travesty. Then we went to.
I think it's a travesty, man.
We went to Vasseur and how he didn't know, and you were telling me we don't know sometimes when our employees leave. But I feel like this is different. I feel like this is
different. It is. You should absolutely. It's different. It's like when I don't remember who it was. Didn't know that his driver was leaving. Like thought he had them all in. He lost 2 drivers that year and had no idea. It was totally blindsided. Like that should never happen. Otmar, who has also got to go. But
he's got to go. He's got to go.
How do people put these people in charge? Honestly, like
I don't know.
When that happens, I'm done. I have a lot of patience. I have a lot I think I've mentioned on this before. I've never fired anybody that I lost sleep over, only because I know I've given them enough opportunity. I have talked to them. I've gone over things with them, so I've never lost sleep over firing somebody. But that, I wouldn't even be a question.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even have to discuss it with them. It would be over. Like you had no idea. We lost 2 drivers.
Yeah.
And now look where we are.
Yeah.
All right, I'm done. I'm done with everything. No. So Alonso at one point, they had told him how much was left, the time left, and he's like, all right, well, let's go get Leclerc. Like, he was fighting right till the end. Stayed in 4th.
Yeah.
Never ended up overpassing him, but yeah, it was
I also thought it was funny when he said, when they're like, when Stroll was like, tell Alonso I'm not going to attack him. So they're like, okay. Lance said he's not going to attack you. And Alonso was like, he can if he wants to. Like, he can try if he wants to. Like, who cares?
He's got to catch up.
Is he still on the course? I gave him the brake settings, right? He's still out here?
That would have been the perfect time to give him a new setting. Ooh, tell him to try this. Tell him the pedal to the left.
Tell Daddy Alonso I'm not going to attack him if he'll come to my birthday party.
I think he calls him Poppy. Oh, we already nicknamed him. Damn.
Poppy?
Yeah.
What did we nickname Alonso?
I going to ask me these questions right now? Alonso, we nicknamed him. I know we did. We gave him. You keep talking, man. I got to look this up now.
Okay. So when are we? So you want to talk about the Red Bull dominance like later on, or can we talk about it? When do you want to talk about this Red Bull dominance?
The Red Bull dominance. Actually, we can go ahead and talk about it now. I would say this: if I am the principal of a team, especially if I'm the owner of a team or the CEO of a team, and my team is 14, 18 seconds behind anyone, I'm furious. And if there's one team that is 14 to 16 seconds ahead of everyone, something's got to change. There's no way one team out of all of these teams, out of 20 teams, 10 teams, one team figures it out and nobody else can even come close. It's not even a race. These guys literally, they could have changed tires 3 times and not even been caught. It's pathetic. That's a joke.
And they weren't even pushing. They weren't even pushing. They were. In fact, Max Verstappen said
Max took over on lap 49. No, it wasn't 49. Max took over on 51. He took over the fastest lap.
But he would have kept it, except that he changed tires. But he was on old tires. But he pulled back way off Checo because he wanted to preserve his tires to the end. Plus, that allowed Checo to back off so he could preserve his tires. They could have been 2 minutes ahead. I think
it's horrible. It is a joke at that point. To me,
and every time they go to pass, the other drivers are just like, and they just pull over and they just
pass the last guy, the guy that's broken down, the safety car.
Like Leclerc, they both had to pass Leclerc, and both times he just basically scooted over and just let them. And it looks so ridiculous when they pass them because it's just
it's horrible.
I did see where Gunther Steiner said, just because Red Bull's dominating doesn't mean we ought to put new policies in place to prevent the domination.
Did you see Leclerc? I agree, but did you see Charles Leclerc at the end when they were interviewing him and they were talking about you couldn't keep up with Red Bull, and he's like, oh no, I mean we're not going to be able to keep up with them. Why? That would be my biggest. Why? Why are they number 1 and number 2 in the driver standings, and there is nobody even pushing them? It's not even. It's. I think they're separated by 8 points now, and there is nobody pushing them. It's a joke. It's terrible at this point.
I have a question that's going to show my ignorance.
Okay.
What about when Hamilton calls up and he says, "Hey, I really want to pass this guy. Can you guys give me some more power?"
I don't know how they transfer power. I don't.
I had so many questions for that.
End, right?
Yeah. My first question was, why didn't you have that power all along? Like, you remember in Wizard of Oz when she's like, "You've had the power all along, my dear"? That's what I felt like. Wouldn't it have been hilarious if he had said right back, if Toto would have gotten on. Toto would have gotten on and said, "You had the power all along, my dear." That would have been the best moment in sports history, to have Toto telling Lewis Hamilton.
So maybe he just hasn't had the ability, the authority, and he was like, he couldn't make that decision himself. So he's like, "Hey, can you?"
Why doesn't he have it anyway? But also, I just realized his name is Toto Wolff, like almost Wolf, WOOF.
Holy cow! Like the dog,
Toto Wolff.
Toto.
Yeah.
Wow.
And he's telling.
But okay, I gotcha. I hear you, loud and clear. It's barking out at me right now.
Yeah, but I just didn't understand, like, why do you get they're holding them like, fine, you can have this power, but just for 10 seconds. Let's see what you can do for the next 10 seconds with this power.
So is Toto now the wizard?
I don't know. Well, I always thought Toto was the wizard in the Wizard of Oz. Because he pulls the curtain back. I know, but he pulls the curtain back, right, on the wizard. True. And he
But that would make him the wizard, right? That would be his new nickname. I mean, we're going to start naming the principals too.
Oh, yeah.
So.
Yeah.
So
but
Otmar is going to be. We're going to call him Outmore.
Okay.
Out of here. Out. Just out.
Otmar.
Done.
Yeah, he's terrible. I also think they could have said, which would have not as been as funny as if Toto had said, "You've always had the power. You've had the power all along, my dear." Is if they had said, "With great power comes great responsibility.
Yes, and then he
Use it
slung the
wisely."
web
Like,
out to the guy in front of him, grabbed that car, and sped
is
it
that
off.
from Spider-Man?
Yeah,
So I thought it was Yoda because I was going to say,
no,
"The power, great power is great responsibility," or something like that. Yeah.
yeah, no, but
No. Okay.
yeah, I mean, but I give you credit for trying a Star Wars reference.
You're welcome.
So,
You're welcome.
so, but yeah,
Wait,
Perez
that's
and
Star Wars,
Verstappen, it
not
was a
Star Trek.
totally different race. And seriously, like I would be furious if, and then towards the end, you're looking at it and they're talking about, and I didn't even pay attention to this at the moment, but Russell, I think he was in 8th place at the time, and he's gonna pit with like 2 laps left, 1 lap left, which I also want to get to that too, but I'm like, man, they're gonna pit him. He's in 8th place. He could lose points, and I look up and he's like 23 seconds ahead of the guys behind him. Like how?
Yeah.
How is this
Yeah.
the case?
Well,
So
I think he should have only been like 10 or 12 seconds ahead, but Lando was held up for so
correct,
freaking long
but
behind those.
that's his own
But still,
that's his own problem. I mean,
yeah,
so
yeah.
and but all right, so the idea came up and I liked it, and I was surprised that only two teams did it, but like they talked about pitting someone. I think they had mentioned it as Hulkenberg, pitting Hulkenberg to see if he can at least get points for fastest lap. The guy will be so far behind at that point after pitting that he'd have an open track in front of him. So the option is there. The possibility of fastest lap is there.
Hmm.
I like that. Why wouldn't they do that? But they didn't do it.
Because you can't get a point unless you finish in the top 10 for fastest lap. You just, no one else gets the point. So he would just be removing a point from somebody,
Isn't
not
removing a point,
getting an actual.
isn't subtraction the same as addition? If you
In my
take
mind,
one
yes.
away from
But
everybody.
I'm a winner. And so in my mind, it is. But also, you're talking about Haas, and there's no way Haas thinks like that. Haas is just, he's just thinking, I just don't want to get last.
So he's just thinking, hey, I think there might be a beer coming up pretty quick.
A Fleisch beer.
Let's just finish
Fleisch.
this. Yes, a Fleisch beer. So, well, he's American too. He's dual. He's German and American. He lives in North
Is he
Carolina.
German or is he Swiss or what is he?
I think he's German. He's got to be. Gunther? He's German. He's German. He's German and he's American. He lives right in North Carolina, right near where I was going to live. I mean,
Yeah.
not that I was going to be his neighbor, because let's not get that impression. I was going to be the small house way down the road from him, but like.
Well, he was going to rent his guest house to you, right?
Yeah, monthly, for way more than I could afford. But yeah, he was.
Yeah.
He was all about it. Yeah. So I think it comes with tickets to the Miami.
Yes, great. Yeah.
He would be kind of a cool landlord, though. He's the guy that
Maybe.
would really not care whatever you did. I mean, honestly.
Right. That's true. That's true.
So.
You could get away with anything.
All right. So let's see. We have talked about just about everything, but the question I have, I like the kid, and maybe it's the racing team, but Logan Sargent, what is he ever gonna finish above 18?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Maybe he has. Somebody can correct me on that. But seriously, he's always down in the bottom. I know he's probably finished over 18 because half the people were out of the last race. But
Hey, I have something to tell you that's going to blow your mind real quick. I'm sorry. I was looking something up that we were just talking about. Gunther Steiner
yes,
is an Italian motorsports engineer and team manager who holds dual Italian and American citizenships.
well, I got half of the duel right.
He's born in Lorano, South
How
Tyrol,
did he get
Italy.
Gunther Steiner.
He also lives in Morrisville.
Yeah, no, that's what I was saying. He lives right in the lake. I
Uh,
could have taken my boat right up to him, been like, "Hey," because they sit there.
yeah, I don't know. I thought he was Swiss or German for sure, but he's Italian.
I was 100% sure of it. So I guess that goes to show what I know about life.
Yeah.
So, all right. So we did the strategy. Let's talk about, I mean, Botus. 24 seconds behind Sargent.
Who was?
Botus.
Oh, Valtteri Bottas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He used to race for Mercedes.
Yes,
Right?
correct.
And now he's 24 seconds behind.
They're terrible. That is the worst. They are the worst. I don't.
They have to go. Something. I mean, something's going to change, but
I've lost respect when I meet somebody that drives an Alfa Romeo in real life. I'm always like, all right, can you not park it in my house? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I just think,
will it make
yeah,
it to your house?
you can
Really?
walk
I
there.
mean, will it make it? Because it'd probably be quicker if they just took
You
like the
can
Volkswagen.
just walk. Yeah, yeah. Take an electric bus. I don't know. Like, yeah, they're terrible, and it really has. It's completely changed my perspective of them as an auto.
Yeah, well, and they're gonna change. Like they're switching to Audi, right?
Yes.
I was 90% sure of that because I think that's why Alejandro's there. Like
Yeah.
Alessandro. But it's sad. Like
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
better. I mean, I say they better. Like I'm gonna punish them in some way, but I mean they're on the bottom of the standings. Last year they were what, 6?
Yeah. They're terrible.
It's
Terrible.
so many bad things happening. So
They're the worst. Haas is the second worst. Alpine's the third worst, in my opinion. I would say Alfa, Romeo, Haas, Alpine, Williams, McLaren.
McLaren is the worst. Oh, you're going up.
I'm going up. I'm going from the bottom up.
All right. Williams is tough.
Mercedes.
I'd like to like Williams, but man, they make it very difficult.
Oh, I forgot Blue Bull. Blue Bulls have got to be in there somewhere too.
Who?
AlphaTauri.
Oh, yeah.
They're down there around. So I would go Alfa Romeo, Haas, AlphaTauri.
Hey, Yuki still got points.
I gave him third worst.
He still got a point. He's the only one scoring. Nick, I don't know if in that Netflix version, the Drive to Survive, Nick came in and he was acting like he was going to be like the number one driver. He was going to be like, he acted
He's
like
terrible.
Yuki was like a joke, and quite honestly, it's
he's embarrassing.
He is. He's terrible.
Did you hear Piastri lost like 20 pounds or something?
No,
he was super sick and had been throwing up and diarrhea and everything, and ended up losing. I don't know if it's 20 pounds, but it was like, I don't remember, 6 kilos or 10 kilos, something. It was an enormous amount of weight.
I should go on that diet.
Yeah.
So, last topic before we get into dropping drivers and all that stuff is at the end of the race, Alpine has to pit. And there are photographers, there's pit crew out.
Oh, yeah, they almost killed him.
What in the heck is going on there?
I don't know.
That is terrible.
That is.
I mean, the race isn't over, and it's now, which I think is silly, but now it's illegal, or it's whatever. It's not allowed against the rules. But is there a penalty for it? How do you penalize somebody? I mean, those were reporters.
It was the reporter's fault. It was F1's fault. I heard later on.
It was the F1's fault. If one of those reporters dies, it's not like they should never get by security.
Yeah. F1 had ordered them. F1 had ordered them down there.
F1 ordered them down there?
Yeah, F1 said, hey, go here for this, whatever was getting ready to happen. And so they had the reporter's head there, and then they didn't realize he didn't think anyone was going to pit, and then he pitted.
But he had to pit.
Yes, I know. It wasn't his fault. It was F1's fault.
Choice but to pit.
Yeah.
But F1 should have known that.
I think it was probably before that, though. Like, I imagine they told the reporters, okay, this is when you guys are going to do. I don't know. I don't want to get in their shoes or their pants. I just want them to be their own thing more.
Well, far as blown head gasket, I'm giving it to them or security, whichever one had.
Good call.
So if F1 said it ahead of time, security, I'm giving it to security in general because security should have known.
Security's been bad. 2 races in a row.
I know. if I'm security though, and I'm like, no. First of all, we said it's illegal, but no, or it's a whatever, not allowed. No, the answer is no. You're not getting out there. No, because this guy still has to pit because
I think
we're not
they're
done.
hiring a bunch of TSA agents. Is what I think is happening.
That could be. They didn't do any inspection either. So what if the guy ran out there with tacks and threw them all over the? Yeah, I mean, you never know.
Threw down a spike strip.
Right. But I mean, he's coming in hot. Like he's not coming in quietly, and then it does. I mean, it doesn't affect him because he's not going to get points anyways. But it does affect him. Like,
so if you were one of those reporters, where would have you been? Would have you been one of them that's out there in the front that had to dive back? What if you got splattered like Frogger? Would have you been in the back? Where do you think you would have been as a reporter?
the problem with me is I would have been up front. I would have been the guy that got. I would have been the guy that got froggered.
Yeah. You'd have been elbows out, knocking people back.
Yeah.
I get to ask the first questions.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. And I would have been asking questions as he's running me over. Yeah. Hey, what do you think of the? Oh, man, I just smacked my wall. But what do you? Why are you so far back here?
Why is Red Bull so much faster than you?
I love that question. So, all right. So, who would you give blown head gasket to, or blown head?
I think whoever pitted Max.
You'd give a blown head to whoever pitted Max.
Yeah, whoever pitted Max. Yep. Yeah, they did a terrible pit job. They did a bad pit job.
I could see that. I'll agree with that too. So, all right. So, let me just get a couple questions out of the way.
Okay.
Does Max want a different teammate?
Yes.
You think he does?
Yeah.
I'll tell you what. They were the most civilized of anybody of any of the races afterwards. They seemed like they were actually getting along after this race. Seeing
I was
them
shocked
sit there and talking, they seemed like they were actually. It wasn't faked. It wasn't forced. It looked like they were actually friends. And then there's reports as to whether or not this whole thing is media blowing stuff up, or is it?
I think Max had a problem with his car that we don't really know about. Like when he was like, "Yeah, there's the understeering's bad." I think he had a bigger problem with his car. I think he was very happy getting second place, and so I think he's okay because normally for him to finish like that, he didn't complain about the pitting. Like, wouldn't you expect to hear him on the radio being like, "What did you guys do?"
Exactly.
But he didn't. I think he realized. I think he thought, if I stay out here and I'm ahead of Perez, Perez is going to catch me and pass me. I really think there was something wrong with his car, and so he was fine with how it finished up.
The car. He said he was making some adjustments during it. He was feeling things out and doing different things, and then he's like the last 8 or so laps, he was much improved.
I did also read where he said we learned some things for the next race, which was shocking to me because maybe he was trying, maybe he was experimenting, like trying out different settings and stuff like that.
That's what he said.
Yeah.
So
I think he realizes it's a long season. I don't care about this race.
So next question, and then there's a third, but why is Red Bull so much better than anyone else? Like not even close. Why are they better? Is it their engineers? Is it their drivers? Is it their engine? Is it Honda? Like what makes them so much better?
There's another car that's running the exact same engine.
Right.
I think it is the design of this car was spot on, and they've used 2 versions of it. I think that last year, 2020, I think they knew the changes that were coming to F1, the regulations, and they started working then, and they basically gave up a season, didn't really do a lot of changes to a car, so that when they hit these new regulations, they would be light years ahead, and it's showing.
All right. So my last question for you before we
I think it was that $100,000 they spent on catering, actually. That's what I think made the difference.
Yes, because it was everyone but the drivers, and it made the drivers hungry for wins.
Yes. The drivers were like, we get that kind of food? We get ding-dongs and hobos?
All right. So,
Twinkies?
All things the same, who is the best driver right now?
Max Verstappen.
Is he? Or if you put somebody else, if you put all the drivers in the exact same car, in that Red Bull car, who's the best driver right now?
I still think Max Verstappen. Who do you think?
I mean, it's hard to tell because I think that car lends itself to be the best, and it makes me
Yeah.
wonder. And I'm not saying he is, and I'm not saying he isn't, but where does Fernando sit in that? Like, where is he? Is he the guy? Like, is he? If he
I
drove
think
that car, would he drive it better? He's he's not driving a great car. I mean, I don't want to say he's not driving a great car, but I mean,
it's the second best car on track, I think.
okay.
Most times, most races. But I
So
don't
you
know.
think Lance Stroll is just that bad?
Yeah, I think two things. I think Fernando, yes, is an argument, and I also think that Leclerc,
Yeah.
Charles Leclerc is an argument. Those two
Yep.
could be an argument, but I think Max would be one,
I'd
and then I would.
I'd love to see the.
Yeah.
I'd love to see. Throw Perez in there just for the hell of it. Put the four of them on a track together in the exact same car.
Yeah.
And let one of them ride on Michelin's instead of Pirelli. Or you said Michelin earlier, so. All right, so those are my questions there. So we're going to throw out a driver. I'm throwing out Bottas.
Who?
Bottas.
Oh, Bottas. Yeah.
He's gone.
Bottas.
He's gone. Right. He went from fame to shame.
Yeah.
I like the guy. I think he's probably a really nice guy. But
I guess.
He's not driving.
Is he Danish? I think he's Danish.
I don't know. Yeah,
and
it sounds right.
I feel like I eat Danish. I don't root for Danish.
He's not really a Great Dane, though, is he?
No.
Okay.
He's a moderate. Can I toss mine after I give my nickname for a player? For a driver?
Sure.
Not a nickname. I'm not doing a nickname. I'm comparing somebody to a team.
Yes, you are. And I had a nickname, and I don't remember what I did with it. So there.
So
no, you were doing the nick. Oh yeah, you were doing that. Yep, no. I lied.
Okay. So you ready for it?
I'm more than ready. I'm so ready. I've forgotten my nickname. So
Carlos Sainz is the New Orleans Saints.
I like it. Is it because it's spelled similar?
No, I didn't even think of that, and it sounds similar now that you say that. But it is because they're never the worst team. You know they're going to be fine, but they're not really ever a threat to anyone either. And I kind of feel like that's how he is. He's not going to be the worst driver on track, but he's never going to. He's not a threat. Who's he a threat to? He's not even a threat to Charles Leclerc. He's just not a threat. He's not. He's a threat to no one. Do you even? I mean, for always being in the top 8 drivers, do you ever think about him like, ooh, here comes Carlos Sainz? I don't think anyone does.
I don't. You're right. Yeah, he's not the guy. He's what George Russell was in this race. Just quiet, kind of like laid back.
If I was going to give him a nickname, I would give him Ace of Base would be his nickname. I saw the signs. Remember that song?
Are we doing this? Are we doing song references now? Or are we just doing puns on names?
I saw the signs. But wouldn't that be a funny nickname for him, Ace of Base? But actually, it should be somebody else's because they're the ones that are always seeing the signs in their rearview mirror. No, so I would make him the New Orleans Saints. And if I was going to kick a driver out today, which I am, I'm kicking Carlos Sainz out because there's just no way I'm ever going to be able to root for that dude. Like I imagine having him as your favorite driver. It would be like saying, what's your favorite flavor of ice cream? And you didn't say French vanilla. You just said, not even old-fashioned vanilla, not vanilla bean. You were just like, I just like
bean. I mean,
cream.
vanilla bean
I just like
sounds better, but yeah, you're
I
right.
just like cream flavored ice cream.
I hear you.
What's your favorite kind of pizza? Cheese pizza. That's my favorite kind of pizza. What are your favorite kind of wings? Mild. I really like the mild wings. I mean, that's Carlos Sainz.
Just plain. I like plain wings.
Just plain. Yeah, I don't really like condiments or sauce or anything like that. Just, do you want your fries salted? No, please no. I just like mashed potatoes with no butter, no pepper. That's my favorite food. What's your favorite food? Mashed potatoes. That's Carlos Sainz. It's fine. Like, it's a fine side dish.
Yeah.
Okay, who's your nickname?
So, I think it's gonna have to be to Lance Stroll.
Ooh. Wait, let me guess. Let me take some guesses. Billionaire baby. Daddy's boy.
You actually you have it in the two of them.
Billionaire boy. Daddy's baby. Baby daddy. Boy daddy. What? I don't know.
Baby boy.
Baby boy. I like boy daddy. Boy daddy.
Baby boy. He's only there because he's just a baby boy. He's not.
Damn, baby boy
He's not
Stroll. That
loading things up.
doesn't.
He's
Baby
just,
boy Stroll.
yeah, baby boy Stroll.
Yeah.
Yep,
The
put him in
internet's
stroller.
baby.
Huh?
The internet's baby.
The internet's baby. Baby boy Stroll.
Yeah, that's good. That's really good. I like that.
Yeah, I just actually had just come up with it right while you were telling me about your team nickname. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Choo Choo Ganyu and Baby Boy Stroll.
Choo Choo
Those are good
Baby
nicknames.
Boy. Yeah. Yeah, I was thinking about Choo Choo Ganyu, and I had
Yeah, that's probably wait. That's probably the first time in the history of any kind of media that anyone's ever
That's
said they've
never
ever
been
thinking of
said.
Ganyu. I was actually thinking about Ganyu, and people are like, what? Why? Are you hungry?
No, I forgot
We
what
can
I
order in.
was going to use as his nickname.
I'm so sorry.
That's all right. But yeah, no, I think that's where we got to be. So it's Baby Boy Stroll. So yeah. So yeah, do we miss anything? I think we've got everything caught up. We've got our.
Did it all.
All right. So I want to thank everyone for joining us. Jonathan, thanks for your time. I see you got moved into
Thank
the
you.
new place. Everything's good.
Not yet. I'm in my old house right now.
Oh, well, I heard you were moved into your new place, so everything's good.
Moving. Yeah.
Right. Beautiful. Thanks, everyone. Have a great week. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you again for listening to this Four Winds Media podcast. Please stop by our website at Four Winds Media and check out all of our podcasts. They can be listened to wherever you stream your favorite podcasts. If you'd like to share your thoughts, feel free to put your comments down below and like and subscribe to us. We hope to see you here again soon.